Hi, my name is Cameron Steele. Welcome to After Hours. We have an amazing guest with us today by the name of Jaymes, who is an actor, director, who has also been a faculty member of Yale University and Simon Fraser University for about 12 years, I believe, isn't it? Welcome to the program, Jesse. Glad to have you here.
Thank you very much, Cameron.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Now, you are incorporating something in Vancouver called the Empower Hour. Is that correct?
The Empower Hour 3-day intensive workshop.
Right. So let's get into this. What is a 3-day intensive workshop?
A 3-day intensive workshop?
With you, with Jesse Jaymes and the Empower Hour. What is it about?
The workshop is about helping people to get in touch with their dreams, to dream big, go after their goals, make plans, and whenever we go after things that we really, really, really want, a lot of fears come up, which we call obstacles.
Right.
And the work is about overcoming those obstacles to create the kind of life that we believe we always wanted and always deserved.
Right. Now, you call it the Empower Hour. Now, it's 3 days long, so where did the Empower Hour come from?
The Empower Hour, originally, I work with an actress named June B. Wild, who's a phenomenal teacher and entertainer. Okay. And we are partners in the Empower Hour.
Right.
2 years ago, we came up with the idea of creating a show that was, in a sense, a motivational workshop. And it was, we designed it as a comedic motivational workshop with a lot of performances in it. And it was 1 hour long.
Wow.
It was called the Empower Hour.
Cool, I like that.
And we designed it with the intention of creating a television show called the Empower Hour that, because there's so much inanity on television of playing to the lowest common denominator, what we wanted to do was create substance and content that normally you would have to pay $500 to book so-and-so's videos so that you improve your life and all that stuff, to put it right there on the screen for people to see. Now, as we developed the idea, it grew into a 3-day intensive workshop, because to do real service and honor to the process of motivation, it takes more time.
Now, this 3-day weekend, there's a lot of 3-day weekend workshops. What exactly do you do? Somebody comes in Friday night. How does it all work out through the weekend? What kind of things do you incorporate?
Well, our Empower Hour weekend this time takes place at the Vancouver Masonic Center. This will be in October.
Okay.
And people come in on a Friday evening, are welcomed, meet the space, meet each other. And what we try to do over the full weekend, which other participants have commented on, is that we attempt to address the whole person. We work on the physical, the emotional, the psychological, and spiritual levels of the human being. We're all very complicated people. And we also accept the fact that no one of us is skilled in all those levels. So we have a number of facilitators. The ratio...
This isn't done by yourself, then?
No, it's not just done by me. I am the director of it in that sense. I'm also a theatrical director.
Okay.
And have put together a number of large-scale participatory performances around the world in unusual locations, which is to give the audience and the spectator an experience that is more internal, as if one was going on a vision quest.
Okay.
And that's more in line and in keeping with the tone of this weekend. I myself work on the physical level, if we were to divide it up like that.
Doing what?
I deal with the breath, body alignment, having what I call an in-body experience. Most of us spend a lot of time outside the body already.
Right.
So what do we need to go to a workshop for?
Be in the body,
Be into the body, be present, be here now. June works on a more emotional level, asking the question, what makes your heart sing?
Right.
Like a lot of us have forgotten where our passion is. What are you passionate about? Well, I don't know. That's come up a lot. It's very hard to be motivated and move towards a goal unless we're coming from our own authentic passion source.
Right.
And since we were born, our society, culture, parenting, educational systems have a way of separating us from ourselves and creating a feeling of obligation or loyalty or relationship to something other than what's inside us. Now, the way that the culture is changing and all those systems are breaking down, clearly our final responsibility is a loyalty to ourselves. So our next facilitator, Dr. Alan Haynes, is a life coach. And I really credit him with being the head or the intellect.
Okay.
You got to have a plan.
Now he's working with the psychology of it, or is he?
Well, he deals with, you've got your goal, you know what you want to do.
Right.
What are you going to do tomorrow to make it happen?
Right.
We all know these days that thought is creative and visualization works.
Positive thinking.
Positive thinking, of course, works.
Yeah.
Without a plan and without steps that we're willing to do, to take action, we will not put ourselves in the line of coincidence.
Yeah.
We have to do something active to attract coincidence, synchronicity, all the good visualizations coming to us. That's what he deals with. And Barbara Madani is
I just want to get back to that for a second. Now, that's got to be an interesting way of creating something. I mean, for someone to learn how to create synchronicity in their life, you know, that's fascinating, because even in today's world, you know, you can't walk down the street, at least for me personally, I can't walk down the street without bumping into somebody and them saying, oh, hey, listen, you know, I haven't seen you for a while, blah, 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 and all of a sudden, they've got a message they're giving to me about something, a decision that I'm making in about 2 or 3 days.
Exactly.
You know? So that for me was a learned thing, synchronistically. So I think that's a very good thing to offer in a workshop. Is synchronicity.
Actually, that phenomena was really made popular by the Celestine prophecy.
Of course.
Is how to work with the idea of synchronicity.
Right.
The fascinating idea for me about synchronicity is that unless you want to do something, coincidences have no meaning. Jung talked about in the prelude to the I Ching,
Carl Jung,
the difference between coincidences and meaningful coincidences.
Right.
And it's the meaningful ones that he said were synchronicities.
Yeah.
Now, unless we want to accomplish something, unless we're moving towards something that we desire with all our being, then the events that occur have no meaning. They have no relevance to achieving that.
And if you want to be a football player and you bump into a soccer player, there's no significant coincidence in that other than the sport.
And there is a crossover.
Exactly.
There is, well, what's your training like? How does it feel? Do you do this? Do you do that?
So I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned someone else that you were working with?
Barbara Madani.
Yes.
She's a registered psychologist for 25 years, a fantastic counselor. She's dealing with some of the latest power therapies, and in particular, eye movement desensitization, EMDR, which can process traumas that have been buried for 25, 30 years within 5 minutes.
And that's working with the eyes?
That's working with eye movements.
Eye movement.
And
can you explain that a little bit?
Well, I'm not qualified to explain.
I understand that, but you
and there's a lot of care taken around the information that's given out about it. She's done a lot of training in that field. And although she alludes to this in the workshop, but works more on one eye technique and aligning the hemispheres of the brain.
Right, the left and right hemispheres.
Yeah, through different movement patterns and movements with the eyes. And it's had fascinating results. The best time to work with this kind of material is when one is in a moment of trauma, or having the anxiety, having the issue, whatever it is.
I guess that would be because of because the energy is there and they're able to acknowledge it. Would that be the reason for that?
Like, for instance, someone has to give a public speech in 3 hours and they're terrified of public speaking, so all the anxiety comes up right then. It's a real issue. And that's the time, that's the most effective time to do these processes.
Right. Now, in this weekend you're talking about the Empower Hour, do people get individual attention from each person? Is that the idea? Or is it in a group?
Each person has individual time in front of the rest of the group to, in a sense, stand up and be counted.
Right.
Who are you? What are you doing here? What do you want to accomplish in your life? Will you stand up and state that? Will you make a commitment to yourself with the support of the rest of the group, who are all there for the very same thing, including all the facilitators? When we were talking earlier, I mentioned the importance of walking the walk and talking the talk when you're a facilitator in this mode too.
I was actually going to get to that, because I wanted to find out why you do this. Because you've got so many talents, and you're using part of your talents to teach others. And what drives you to do this?
Well, I did realize when I was having a look at the various skills and ways of living that I've developed over time, that the one single common denominator, the thing that makes my heart sing, is helping people to acknowledge the things that they love and encouraging that to happen. That was a part of my early life. My mother is still a phenomenal encourager of creativity. It was her mission to raise myself and my 3 brothers to be creative.
Interesting.
And I took that for granted because that was so much a part of my life.
Yeah.
But for so many people, the idea of letting loose a creative, personal, vulnerable idea is something that's really, really terrifying. And yet, the paradox is, because the way the society is, the old forms of the society are disintegrating, it's more and more important that we access our own creative truth, because that's what's actually going to provide us our survival. We have to be freelance, we have to be independent entrepreneurs, we have to be able to think on our feet, we have to develop all kinds of flexibility to see new forms and new possibilities that didn't exist before. That's what we'll base our future on, and that's really exciting.
In your workshops, what kind of people do you find you're getting from what types of backgrounds?
It's really across the board. One of the hooks in our workshop is that 2 of us are professional actors.
Right.
I make a certain amount of my living that way, and so does Jim B. Wild.
Of course.
And people that have entered the workshop through us sometimes see acting, performing, presenting as the thing that really does make their heart sing.
Right.
Now, sometimes that's a symbol for something else in their life that they want to change. Well, I want this. I want stardom. I want fame. I don't want the life that I'm in at the moment. Even though aspects of their life they already love.
So could it be synchronicity applied in this particular case for you in the Empower Hour and working with June? And the representation of both being actors and doing this together?
You mean in the way that we met?
Yeah.
It's certainly in the way that we met.
Yeah, okay.
We both were looking for methods of service within our own chosen art form.
Right.
There's a lot of the industry that is not based on service to others.
Now,
like you said, to be
let's say,
self-serving.
after somebody takes your weekend workshop, what's the results that you've seen from people taking these workshops? Have their lives changed dramatically? Can you give us an example of someone, without mentioning names, of course, of what they did before and what they're doing now because of this awakening they've had?
One person that comes to mind actually did realize in the workshop that he wanted to be an actor.
Oh, is that right? Okay, that's interesting.
And within 5 months, he dove into the training, took it completely seriously.
Wow.
Got an agent. He's being sent out for auditions. He's in a theater company that's very popular at the moment.
Wow.
It was uniquely astonishing the way he took his life on. There are other people that became much more clear about what branch of their chosen profession they wanted to be in.
Right.
Sometimes the possibility of performing, of letting one of our inner selves out of the bag, allows one to be much more empowered in the life that one already has. Someone who's frustrated being a mom, this is an example that I can give you.
Okay.
Not everyone goes for the gold brass ring.
Right.
Someone frustrated being a mom that feels pulled upon and drained by that energy says, oh, I want to be a performer. Has the opportunity to try that out, to get feedback about that, and then feels so good about that, and feels so good about the love and attention that's being received by that, that she then takes that back to her family, and it has rekindled the love and communication possibilities within her own family.
So it's really, the Empower Hour weekend is really about just acknowledging oneself in whatever life you are right now and whatever you're doing, and possibly even changing your life to something else.
Possibly changing careers, certainly realizing that the strongest thing that one can change is one's own attitude to where one is at the moment.
So, you know, I mean, for the longest time, I was a gas station attendant. I mean, who hasn't been a gas station
And now you're a talk show host.
But, yeah, exactly.
Among many other things.
You know, yeah. So, as a gas station attendant, I didn't like the job, and I know there's a few other people out there that do that don't like the job. But are you saying, what you're saying is that your weekend can teach people to really embrace their job and to love where they're at right now? Is that possible in your workshop? Say he wants to own his own gas station, but he can't own his own gas station without being his own gas station attendant.
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
Let's put the analogy in a slightly different way. Everybody wants to be happy.
Yeah.
So what makes happiness? Well, we tend to think that it's out there and out there and out there.
Right.
It may be the place that's closest to you. If a gas station attendant visualizes owning their own gas station one day, how can they, on a day-to-day basis, do the job that they do better than they're doing now? I'll tell you from my own personal...
That's my point is, you know, go ahead.
This is my own personal experience a few years back. Like everybody in the world, and it's really important not to see teachers, facilitators, or gurus as perfect ascended beings. I had a teacher once who said to me, the only thing a teacher has to have is what you need next. They don't have to be perfect.
Well, it's true, you know, yeah.
So a few years ago, my life fell apart, like all lives fall apart at different times.
Yeah.
And I was sitting under a tree going, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? And I thought, what am I doing? And I realized that one of the things I had been doing for a considerable amount of time was teaching. And I was, in fact, quite privileged to be able to teach at two of the top universities in North America.
That would be Yale and Simon that we talked about, yeah.
Yeah, Yale and Simon Fraser. For quite a number of years. Was I valuing that? Was I giving credit to that? No. Not fully. I wasn't honoring the fact that the prestige makes no difference, and the fact that I was working with real live human beings who were looking to me for encouragement.
That's a big responsibility.
For overcoming their own fears, because in university we're going, oh, what am I going to be when I grow up? Oh,
right.
Do I have what it takes? Am I going to make it? Am I going to do this? So much of my job was about that, was about providing hope. And saying, you got a flame in you, you have to go do this. So while I was sitting under this tree, assessing my life at this moment, I said, well, the only thing I can do is to do what I'm doing better, serve the people that I'm working with more fully. And that was an amazingly transforming moment. I went to class the next day and gave the best class I ever gave in my life.
Wow.
And it clicked for me.
Did you share that aspect of yourself with your class? Is that what made it better as well? By sharing that vulnerable side?
I believe it provided me the opportunity of assuming their vulnerable side.
Right.
Of being able to see that all of us must have those vulnerable sides.
Right.
And it was current in me. Like when I'm acting, actors look for those vulnerable, painful, life-shattering moments because that's what good drama is made of.
Exactly.
We don't go to the theater to watch what happened today. Well, not much. Oh, cool. Okay.
Exactly.
No, it's life-changing moments.
Yeah.
It's we want to watch a character.
We want to see drama. Yeah.
And what is the drama based on? It's based on meeting a situation that this personality has no coping mechanism or no knowledge on how to overcome it.
Right.
How to succeed in this.
Right.
So us as spectators go, is she going to succeed? Or is she not? Is he going to kill the dragon, or is the dragon going to kill him?
Right.
And how does he change through the course of the doing of that?
Right.
Like grow literally a larger body or a larger psyche and say, I didn't die, I know this about myself now, and I'm still here.
He's just finally let go.
Yeah.
So now in the weekend workshop, we talked a little bit about the opening on Friday. Now, what happens on a Saturday and Sunday? I'd like to know more about that.
On Saturday, we really get into the meat of it.
And that is?
Like any good talk, there's a beginning, a middle, and an end.
Right.
An opening, a body, and a conclusion.
Of course.
And we have a Friday, a Saturday, and a Sunday. Friday is really having an idea of the whole picture, meeting everyone. The Saturday, we get into the nuts and bolts of it, where each person is given the possibility of facing what it is that they've said they want to do.
And what kind of tools do you use to help people do this?
We use some writing, some journal work, some creative drawing exercises. We use dance. We use voice. We have
well, you're a voiceover coach too, so
voice coach, a vocal coach.
Vocal coach, okay.
What I deal with very much is the breath, the body, the alignment, and opening up the various chakras in the body, being able to speak from the guts and the heart and the head. And most of the time we think about voice being a brain to mouth function, and the rest of the body's not engaged.
Right. But as you're talking, your hands are moving, so your body is engaged in the voice.
Yeah.
And it's part of the expression.
And the voice is empowered by the breath. And the breath, its strongest impulse comes from the diaphragm or the guts, where the emotional seat is. Now,
do you find most people breathe from here, or do you find most people are breathing, when they breathe in there? When I breathe, and I take it all in. But what I have found in various situations that I've been in is I find myself breathing from up here sometimes.
Very shallow.
Shallow breathing, and then even sometimes forgetting to breathe.
Right. Well, the interesting thing about breath is that it's totally reactive based on our emotional state.
Right.
And because the emotions happen so fast to us, if we're scared, we go,
and they hold
the breath stops. If we're angry, we're panting. If we're in a hurry, that's more in a hurry.
Gotta make that bus.
And we're getting out of breath because we're not actually taking the moment to bring the breath all the way through.
Okay, so you work with people in the workshop with the breath.
Yeah, and the working on the physical level with breath allows us to bypass the fight or flight mechanism. When we're in panic mode, we either want to run out the door or fight back. And in between that, in between the stimulus and the reaction, I heard a minister call that infinity.
Interesting.
If we can reach that moment between the stimulus, you're coming at me, I hit. It's a boom.
I had the funniest visualization just now of you saying something like that, of fighting the feeling. And I just saw this person on stage wanting to say something, and then, no, I'm not doing that. No, okay, I'll do it. No, I'm not doing it. Fighting back and forth. You know what I mean? So I mean, I could see how that would really, that could really work in gaining that confidence and that power to be able to stand up and say what you want to say without that fight. And you do that with the breath, and that would be I can tell you that's a very grounding experience.
Incredibly. What you're referring to also is not trusting your impulses. When we're up in front of people on the spot, first thing we do is all these little voices. Oh, I'm not big enough. Oh, I'm not pretty enough. Oh, I don't talk well enough. Oh, I have no right to be here. I know those voices. I know those voices
very, very well. Thank you very much. I just did a thing last night for singing, and as I was saying before, we talked about the empowering and the singing. You get me in front of a bunch of people to sing, and I just shut right down. So this is why I'm interested in what you're doing.
And how are you when you're singing alone?
Oh, I'm just fine singing alone. I can sing alone till the moon turns blue. But this is why I like what you're doing, because you assist people in gaining that confidence to either sing or do whatever they want to do with full confidence. And you're using all four bodies, which is amazing, because there is not a lot of workshops out there that are doing that, incorporating all four bodies.
Exactly.
Because we are one whole person as a human being, and if you're going to a physical workshop and you're not exercising the mental or the spiritual or the emotional, then what good is it?
Right. Our aim is to take this into the world.
Right.
And for each person who's participating to, when all the centers are activated and they're all formulated behind one goal, one objective,
right,
then it has to work.
Okay.
And then the thoughts do have power.
We're running out of time, and I want to thank you for coming out. Now you've got something coming up on July 13th. You've got an introduction night to this
July 13th, we have an introductory evening with the Empower Hour team.
Okay, and the Empower Hour team being yourself and
June B. Wild, Dr. Alan Haynes, and Barbara Madani.
Right. And where is this taking place?
This will take place at the Vancouver Masonic Center. That's just near the corner of Granville on 8th Avenue.
Right. And if people want to get a hold of you?
731-7745.
That's a good number to remember. That's a good number to remember. Now, just before we go, we still got a minute or so left. I would like you to, if there's something you could offer the audience that's watching right now, if there's one thing that you could offer the audience that would really make them think and empower them, can you say something to them?
Hi, everybody. What makes your heart sing? Get in touch with the thing that makes your heart sing and go for it. Commit to it, as June B. Wild says, 150%. And as Joseph Campbell says, doors will open where you didn't even know there were doors.
Yeah.
To make it happen.
Yeah. Now, June is, she's acting right now, is she?
Yes.